what is the location of your emergency?
He's here. He's here. He's outside.
Who is outside, Michaela?
My ex out for protecting him.
What's going on? Michaela, what's happening? What happened? Where is she shot?
Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord.
The voice you're hearing is 24-year-old Michaela Carter. Panicked, breathless, barely above a whisper. Then comes a desperate plea for help. Just 10 minutes earlier, Michaela and her mother had placed a 911 call. He's outside walking around with a gun. We have an order of protection against him, and I'm pretty sure he's looking for my daughter because my niece lives in the apartment. How do you know this person's name? It's my ex-husband. It's my daughter. It's my daughter's husband. Arranged husband. He just got out of jail like last week. On November 15th, 2021, Michaela's arranged husband had been released from jail after violating a probation on a domestic assault charge. That same day, he took to Facebook. No one could have predicted what would happen next. Moments later, police were dispatched to reports of a break-in and multiple gunshots at an apartment complex. When they arrived, they found a devastating scene. Michaela had been shot multiple times. But what happened next was even more disturbing. This is the life and death of Michaela Carter. Jane Carter was born on November 23, 1996 in Bowling Green, Kentucky, to her mother, Kimberly Jones Buowie. She was the oldest of her siblings and often helped take care of them while growing up when she was a teenager. The family moved to Antioch, a community just outside Nashville, Tennessee, where Michaela would build most of her life. She attended Antioch High School and quickly made a name for herself. She was fast on the track and passionate in the youth choir at Lake Providence Baptist Church. Friends said she had a natural presence. Whether she was running at practice or singing on Sunday, people noticed her. Michaela had also been baptized at Freedom Temple Ministries, and her faith remained a big part of her life. After high school, Michaela started working as a server and greeter at the 1230 Club, one of the most popular restaurants in downtown Asheville. She worked long hours, but always showed up with a smile. She took pride in her work, knowing it was helping her support her family and save for the future. Outside of work, Michaela was quiet and thoughtful. She dreamed of hosting community events, women's meetups, and charity drives that could give back to others. Family meant everything to Michaela. She was the kind of person who gave more than she took. And now, looking back, it's no wonder she caught the eye of a man who would unravel her life into a tragedy. In 2007, Michaela met James J. Aliot, while they were both students at the same high school in Antioch, Tennessee. At first, their connection seemed innocent. Michaela, always full of light and kindness, was drawn to Jay's attention and confidence. He had a way of locking eyes with her that made her feel special, and she welcomed the affection. It wasn't long before they took it a step further. By 2010, they had officially began dating. To those watching from the outside, they looked like any typical teenage couple, smiling, laughing, and sometimes dancing together at school events or neighborhood parties. But it won't be long before Jay would reveal his true colors. Jay began showing signs of jealousy. He didn't like when Michaela talked to other guys. He became possessive. Michaela, young and in love, didn't always recognize the red flags. She thought it was just part of love, that maybe he was just being protective. At first, the controlling behavior came off as a concern, but over time it started to wear on her. He would isolate her from some of her friends and get upset if she didn't respond to his messages quickly. Sometimes he'd show up unannounced, accusing her of things that weren't true. Michaela kept most of it to herself. She didn't want to worry her family or be seen as dramatic. She hoped things would get better. that maybe the sweet boy she first fell for was still there underneath the anger. But what she didn't know then was that this relationship would turn into something far more dangerous. As the years passed, James' life took a darker path. Between 2013 and 2017, James had racked up several felony convictions, including drug possession, burglary, and robbery. These charges not only reflected a growing pattern of violence and instability, but also legally barred him from owning a firearm. In early 2020, police responded to a domestic violence call at the home of Marvin and Elizabeth Liot, James's parents in Antioch, a quiet neighborhood in southeast Nashville. That day, Marvin and Elizabeth, both 60 years old, had been trying to remove James from their home. As they attempted to pack his things, he became aggressive. According to the police reports, he shoved his mother to the ground and slammed his father against the wall. Both parents told officers they wanted to press charges, but those charges never stuck, and the case was later dismissed after neither parent showed up in court. When contacted later, Marvin and Elizabeth declined to speak publicly about the incident. One detail stood out from their report. When Elizabeth approached her son during the confrontation, James had allegedly grabbed his father's revolver and pointed it at her. He warned her to step back, then fled the scene, taking the weapon with him. Marvin Liot later chose not to report the gun as stolen. Still, the original charges meant that law enforcement and probation officers were made aware of James's access to a firearm. They also had documentation that he had threatened people with it. Whether or not he ever returned the gun to his father remains unclear. Despite this troubling history, Michaela held on to hope. She believed in second chances. She'd always been someone who looked for the good in people. And with James, she believed love could fix what was broken. And when he asked for forever, she didn't hesitate. In late 2020, when he got down on one knee and proposed, Michaela said yes without hesitation. Her family had their doubts. They had never fully trusted James. But Michaela wanted to believe that things could be different now, that marriage would bring stability, that maybe, just maybe, he had finally turned a corner. But the illusion didn't last long. After the wedding, they moved in together, hoping to start fresh. But James's controlling nature never changed. He constantly monitored Michaela's phone, listening in on calls, reading her messages, and even taking her phone away for hours or days just to isolate her. He wanted to know where she was at all times. He discouraged her from spending time with friends or visiting family, often telling her that they didn't truly care about her. But things would only worsen. James started abusing drugs again. He became paranoid, erratic, and aggressive. Michaela also discovered that he had been cheating on her, messaging other women behind her back, and the betrayal cut deep. But even more painful were the violent outbursts that followed when she tried to confront him. She had tried to leave months earlier, packing her things and planning to go stay with her mother. But when James realized what she was doing, he beat her so badly she couldn't walk. Michaela didn't file a police report at the time. Like many victims, she was afraid. Afraid of what he might do if she told anyone, and afraid of being judged or blamed to the outside world. It still looked like they were working things out. But in reality, Michaela was living in fear. Her love for Jay was real, but so was the danger. And with every passing day, the situation was becoming harder and more terrifying to escape. But things took a violent turn. In July 2021, Michaela and James had been arguing when, in a sudden explosive outburst, he struck her with a glass bottle of Jack Daniels. The attack left her bruised both physically and emotionally. Shaken and scared, Michaela left and went straight to her family's home. That night changed everything. There she opened up about the emotional torment she had been hiding. She finally told them everything she had been going through behind closed doors. How Jay had controlled her, isolated her, and hurt her. Then she revealed something even more heartbreaking. She had recently attempted to take her own life. She had tried to overdose, believing that the only way out of her toxic and dangerous relationship was if one of them died. That moment, she said, had been her breaking point. But instead of giving up, Michaela made a choice. Realizing she couldn't survive much longer in silence, Michaela decided to act. After leaving the hospital the next morning, she contacted police and told them she wanted to press charges. Then she filed a petition for a protective order against James, hoping to create a legal barrier between herself and her abuser. It seemed like justice was finally catching up to Jay, but the system was only beginning to fail her. James was arrested shortly after the incident. But to the family's frustration, the assault charges were dismissed less than 2 weeks later. Just before the court hearing, Michaela found out she would be required to face Jay in the courtroom and identify him herself. Overwhelmed with fear, she had a panic attack and left the courthouse. Her family said they had reached out to the district attorney's office, warning them about Michaela's state of mind and her intense fear of retaliation. But prosecutors explained that without Michaela's direct identification in court, they couldn't move forward with the case. But that wasn't the end. It was only the calm before the real storm. Still, not all was lost. Although the charges were dropped, James remained behind bars, this time for violating the terms of his probation. That gave Michaela some temporary relief. In August 2021, she was finally granted a full protection order. The judge made it clear James was not allowed to contact Michaela in any way, and he was legally barred from possessing firearms. But even the strongest piece of paper couldn't stop what was coming next. By then, Michaela was doing her best to rebuild her life, but the fear still lingered. Everyone around her knew that even with a court order in place, James was a man who didn't follow rules, and the danger wasn't over yet. On November 15, 2021, just 10 days after James was released from jail for violating his probation, he began posting alarming messages on Facebook and started calling her and sending increasingly desperate text messages. He was clearly unraveling, almost as if he was warning the world, and Michaela was clearly the target. The danger was closing in fast. It wasn't long before Michaela and her mother, Kimberly Jones Mui, placed a frantic call to 911.
Around with a gun. We have an order of protection against him, and I'm pretty sure he's looking for my daughter because my niece lives in those apartments.
How do you know this person, ma'am?
It's my ex-husband. It's my daughter's husband, estranged husband. He just got out of jail like last week. James Leggett. Are they seven people? Yeah, but they have to ask you all this.
What is he wearing right now?
We didn't see him, so I'm not sure what he's wearing. He's outside, and I told my niece not to go back out there.
All right, how did you know that he has a gun?
Yeah, he's 6'6". He's a black guy, brown skin, low cut hair. Not low, but it's a little bit of hair. Yeah, he's really tall.
All right, how did you know that he has a gun?
Because they seen him. He's been posting on Facebook, and he's not even supposed to contact my daughter, but he's been sending her crazy messages since 9 o'clock this morning.
So you're not sure that he's outside because you haven't seen him, right?
Oh yes, I'm sure he's outside with a gun.
But how? But did you saw him with a gun?
My niece did. I'm headed over here now, but I'm kind of scared to go.
What's the name of the
apartment? Outside with the gun.
They had seen James near a relative's apartment, and he appeared to be carrying a gun. Fearing for their lives, they fled and parked at a discount store in southeast Nashville to wait for police. When officers arrived, they questioned a man who matched James's description. But instead of taking action, they said they didn't have enough evidence to prove he had violated the protection order. That wasn't the only failure. Police didn't activate body cameras. They didn't complete a lethality risk assessment. They didn't offer domestic violence support steps required by department policy. Despite Michaela's report and the visible danger she was in, James was not arrested. The officers escorted Michaela and her mother back to the house. She had packed a go bag and needed to grab her ID and the paper copy of her protection order. One officer, still in training, walked the yard as a precaution. But what came next left the family stunned. According to relatives, police told Michaela that if she ever saw James with a gun again, she should try to take a photo. Then they left. They did offer to help her file a warrant in court, but Michaela declined. She didn't want to miss work. That one decision would cost her everything. Within minutes after the police left, Michaela grabbed her green camouflage backpack stuffed with clothes, a toothbrush, and her protection order, and bolted outside toward her friend's car. Her plan was clear, to get as far away as possible. But when she glanced down the street, her heart sank. She saw James coming fast towards their apartment, a gun in his hand, his face filled with rage. She turned and ran back into the house, shouting, "Mama, he's here! He's here!" Her mother, Kimberly, rushed to the window, phone in hand, trying to do what the police had asked. Get a photo. But her hands were trembling. The phone slipped, hit the floor. She picked it up and tried again, but it fell once more. Meanwhile, Michaela was already calling 911. With panic rising, the two women ran into the bedroom and locked the door. But what happened next would leave behind a memory too painful to forget. 911. What is your emergency? She's here. He's here. He's outside. Who is outside? Michaela. Hey, Daddy. Michaela could be heard explaining to the dispatcher that James was in the apartment area. It was clear Michaela was whispering, but within seconds, gunshots could be heard.
What happened?
Where is she shot?
I can't tell, please. Help me, Lord.
While Michaela was still on the phone with 911, James broke into the apartment and opened fire, shooting her multiple times before fleeing the scene. Paramedics responded quickly to the 911 call. Michaela was still alive when they found her, barely clinging to life. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. But despite efforts to save her, the injuries were too severe. Michaela passed away shortly after arriving, just hours before what would have been her 25th birthday. What made the moment more terrifying was that Michaela had already been on the phone with 911. She calmly told the dispatcher that James was outside with a gun. She begged for help, reminding them she had a protection order, but the dispatcher kept following protocol, asking standard questions for officer safety. It delayed the response by minutes. She had dreams. She had a future. And she did everything right. She filed for protection. She followed the law. She tried to live. But the system failed to protect her. After the fatal shooting of Michaela Carter, James Lejay was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and related offenses. But what investigators uncovered next revealed a deeper failure, one that could have changed the outcome. Before Michaela's death, police had already seen disturbing text messages and social media posts from James. Despite that, officers told Michaela and her mother that there wasn't enough probable cause to arrest him. Instead, they simply escorted the two women back home. No lethality assessment was done. No Bolo Be on the lookout alert was issued. Less than 10 minutes after police left, James returned and killed Michaela.
News investigates domestic violence in part 2 of our series, Behind Closed Doors. Tonight, the murder of Michaela Carter, gunned down while on the phone with 911. We have an inside look at the final moments of her life. That phone call, now a focal point in a wrongful death lawsuit filed against Metro for the way police handled the case. Now, we do want to warn you, details of this story may be too graphic for some viewers.
He didn't mean to hurt me.
She just got out of hand.
It's a storyline that often plays out in secret, behind closed doors. According to the YWCA, every 20 minutes in the greater Nashville area, a domestic violence-related call comes in.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
He's here. He's here. He's outside.
Who is outside, Michaela?
Police reports from that day in November 2021 show officers had just left Michaela Carter's house 10 minutes earlier. She initially called police fearing for her life, saying her estranged husband had recently been released from jail and started making threats again. The Legal Aid Society of Middle Tennessee helped Michaela get that original order of protection. We listened to that 911 tape with Rebecca Toka, one of the lawyers on staff staff familiar with the case.
She was calling the police, reporting the text messages he was sending and the postings that he was making, and that they were just there, knowing that they were just there. It's just heartbreaking to listen to.
It's heartbreaking to listen to because of what comes next.
What's going on? Michaela, what's happening? What happened? Where is she shot? Help me, Lord.
Hunkered down in a bedroom inside their home, Kimberly Jones and Boy held her dying daughter in her arms. Her husband also shot multiple times. Michaela's estranged husband, James Leggett, later surrendered to police. He admitted to the deadly shooting.
It's our worst nightmare because we work so hard to try to protect our victims from that exact situation and arm them with the tools to protect themselves.
Now the family of Michaela Carter is suing for her wrongful death. There are conflicting reports as to whether or not Michaela wanted to prosecute Leggett and whether police followed proper protocols. Those details are being argued right now in court. This case hits home for Sparkles Johnson. She too, a survivor of domestic violence.
I called the police 14 times and never pursued a court case until it almost cost me my life.
It's a problem the state says it runs into when trying to prosecute these kinds of crimes. Victims too terrified to face their abuser in court. It's often why convictions fall through and cases get dismissed. Johnson's life work is now dedicated to helping other victims break free from the vicious cycle of abuse.
Every other survivor and victim I know, same thing, went back every time. Michaela tried to get away, and she tried to fight, and she did everything that she knew to do, and she lost. That's unfair. Her mom.
The aftermath sparked a wave of outrage. Michaela's mother, Kimberly Jones Bowie, filed a lawsuit against the Metro Nashville Police Department, claiming negligence. She alleged that officers failed to take Michaela's danger seriously, at times even joking about it, and didn't enforce the protective order meant to keep her safe. An internal review by MNPD found several policy violations. One officer was suspended for 2 days. A trainee officer received a formal reprimand. The case triggered widespread attention, and the Carter family's lawsuit eventually led to a $250,000 settlement in February 2024. An egregious failure on behalf of Metro Police. And now Metro government is paying a victim's family for a botched domestic violence response that resulted in one woman's murder. Metro acknowledged the error, admitting the officer did not follow proper protocol to protect the victim. Along with improving the policy to Tuesday, council members voted to compensate the victim's family the maximum city payout of $250,000. But the outcome wasn't just financial. The settlement came with mandatory reforms, including body camera use during all domestic violence calls, verbal confirmation that support was offered, and automatic bolos for anyone violating a protection order. We are happy about the policy changes, but of course, we do wish that they could have been implemented before November 15th of 2021, the day Michaela was taken from us, and the day that we were failed tremendously by Metro Nashville Police Department. These policy changes are only a part of the solution. We need every officer to respond to every domestic violence call with compassion, with empathy, and with intention. Metro Councilwoman Joyce Stiles spoke out criticizing the officer who failed to act and calling for his termination. I have faith in our police department, but the officer who failed this woman shouldn't be here anymore. And unfortunately, he still is. And whatever can be done for that to be rectified, I promise I will be looking into that. Advocacy groups across Tennessee also joined in demanding stronger enforcement of firearm laws for domestic abusers and better police training for handling domestic violence. The case took another shocking turn. Remember the gun James took from his father and threatened his mother with? According to the police, it was the same gun he would use to kill Michaela. Despite a court order barring Leot from having a firearm, he still got one and used it to commit the murder. A ProPublica and WPLN investigation revealed that nearly 40% of domestic violence homicides in Nashville involved offenders who were legally banned from owning guns. Tennessee law currently lacks any requirement for abusers to turn over their firearms to police or licensed dealers, a deadly loophole. However, the most shocking revelation was yet to come. James Leggett never stood trial. On July 4th, 2024, while in custody at Riverbend Maximum Security Institution, he died under unclear circumstances. The Tennessee Department of Correction has launched an investigation into his cause of death. As of now, that review is still ongoing. Michaela's funeral became a solemn testament to a life of promise. A young woman mourned by a grieving mother, family, church community, and city. Her passing marked a wake-up call to systemic failures in protecting domestic violence victims. From Michaela's tragedy, real life-saving policy changes emerged. But our vigilance must continue. Don't wait for a tragedy to spark reforms. Spread awareness. Support each other. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's be careful because you have only a single life to live. Please help us hit 1,000 subscribers.